right, guys, welcome to this particular edition. All right, this is the third edition of this our video, and in this edition, we'll be talking about a little bit about the list function. Okay, so list command, sorry, and I've told you that the list command is used to display the list of all the content of a folder or a directory. So in this command, I'm going to show you that the list command has some limitations on on the system. You can see it has some limitation. There are some files that exist here that we cannot see because those files are the configuration files. They start with dot. Any file or folder that starts with a dot is a file that contains the setting or the configuration of that system. So you don't need to tamper with such file. So because of it, they are hidden files. So they are hidden files. So for us to see the content of those hidden files, so what we do is we do ls and then we attach the /a function to it. So when we hit on enter, you can see that this displays the contents. You can see dot dot dot, then dot git config dot hosh login dot ssh dot sudo admin successful, and so many other dot files and folders. As you can see, this is a folder, and these are configuration files and configuration folders. So you don't need to tamper with them. So because of that, that is the reason why by default they are hidden. And I've not tried this function though, so let's try it. Let's know if the tree attached to a function can display it. So you can see it displays it. So now the tree attached with a function, so this a function or a command helps us to identify or list or display those hidden files and folders. And you can see how it is arranged in our system. You can see how it is arranged in our system. So all the configuration files are um, listed as a tree. And you can see these ones on the hook are all executable files. So we are not concerned about this. So let's clear this whole thing. Another thing is you can see that when we use the list command, it is just listing our files and folders and directories in a horizontal manner. It is not that presentable. We may not see the permissions, as every file or folder has a permission. There are some files that only the administrator of the system can handle. There are also some files that can be handled by the general or the public. So if you are using Windows, you will notice that when you go to your C folder, you see the public folder. And the public folder is where the public can access. And then the user folder is where the administrator can handle. So in command line, we use sudo, but I'll still introduce you to the sudo command. But here we are just trying to access and see the permissions that are given to a particular file or particular folder using the list function or the list command. So in this case, we use the ls and then uh, the dash l function. So the l function means large. So to make it a larger this thing. So in this case, we can see that we have these files just like we have it here, but they are in this case arranged in vertical section houses. Again, we can see the permissions. So right here, we have the read, the write, the execute, and the read function. So the first one, the first part of it is for the admin, the super admin, the admin, and the public or the user. Okay, the ordinary user. So we can see how these are arranged. So this person can execute, but cannot write on this file, but they can read this, they can read. So this person can also execute, but cannot write, but can read. But the admin can execute, can write, and can read. So this is basically the permission that's given to every file. Okay, and then the dates when the files were created. As you can see, this is the date when the files were created on the 4th of September. Sorry, this is the date, sorry, October 15th. And this is the time when it was created, when each of these files or folders were created. Now, even if I want to display the contents of the hidden files also, so we can do the same thing by saying ls, and then we put dash l and a together, and this is it. You can see the permissions were denied from these people, but the permission to read and write, we have it in the super folder, because this exactly is a configuration file. It doesn't have to be public. So that's why you have this, and you can see the date when it was created, and you can see the user that has permission to handle these files. All right, let's clear this. Let's try it in another way. ls l sorry ls dash l dash a, the same thing. So we still have it. You can handle it this way. So this is just basically trying to tell this computer to list it in a large format, including the hidden files and folders. Okay, so this is that. And then that's also clear. All right, now let's do some little magic here. Let's open a file. You know, in the previous video, I taught you how to create an empty file. So we created text, sample text.txt. So we can simply do navigate into that folder, and if I do ls, the folder is Richard folder. So we can navigate into that folder, and we can move into the file and add a content into the file using Visual Studio Code. All right, so we can do that, and by doing this cd and then the name of the folder we want to move to, Richard folder, and then we made a mistake in the spelling, so cd Richard on the folder. Okay, we are there now, and if I do ls, you will see sample text. So let's clear this. Sorry, we made a mistake, so clear. So always make sure you are spelling correct, because the command line cannot work with a wrong spelling, and that's why what we are experiencing in this case now. All right, so we have sample text.txt in this folder, and we want to open it with Visual Studio Code. So to do that, to open up Visual Studio Code using command line, you just use the code command. So to do that, by default, I'll say code. So code is to invoke the Visual Studio Code as I want to open it up. And then Visual Studio Code is just a text editor like Atom, like Notepad++, and even Notepad that is in your computers. So I want to open this one with Visual Studio Code. And the file I want to open, the name of the file will be attached to the right side. And the name of the file is sample text.txt. All right, and hit enter. So, Visual Studio Code operates with graphical user interface, and that is the reason why it does waste a little time before it opens. So I'm going to remember this decision, and then I'm going to open it. So you can see I am in the sample text. You can see sample text.txt. So I can just type anything here. I can just type anything. I can type anything. Lorem 40. Oh, go. So just anything to make sure I type something into this file. So I can go ahead and Control S to save this file, and as well go to File and click on Save. And if you go here, you see Control X, Control S. So to save, you use Control S. All right, I'm done with this. I'm closing the Visual Studio Code, and I come back here. So if I want to see the content of this file that I just created, or the content I just added into this file, I can use the cat command, and the name of the file, which is sample text.txt. Sorry, txt. And you can see I have Lorem 40 and go. You can see it here. And this is how I display the content of this file. Now, if I want to add a file to this without opening any text editor directly, I can add something into this by using the append function. And to do that, I just say echo, and I'll type what I want to add to that. Go to the bottom. All right, and this is what I want to add, and I'll use this to append into sample text.txt and hit enter. And I'll do cat sample text.txt. And you can see I now have go Lorem 40 and then go, and then the next one I appended to it, which is go to the bottom. You can see that this has been added into sample text. Even if I open this with Visual Studio Code, it will still be there. So let's open with Visual Studio Code, sample text.txt. So let's open this with Visual Studio Code. So it's going to waste a little time because it's going to generate a visual representation of that file. That's graphical user interface. And all right, so you can see it was added to this line. So I can do some changes and so on, and Control S to save, minimize this. And if I do the same thing, cat sample text.txt, and you can see this now goes to the next line. So I'm going to end this tutorial here, and in the next video we'll be looking into um, much other commands that we can work with, and then we look into the sudo command, which we use to give the administrative power to whichever user that is handling the command. So we use the sudo to give administrative command to whichever user that is handling the system. And then we use the man command to operate on the manual of this. And you can see once I type man, you will see what manual page do you want. For example, try the man. So the manual. And then I'm going to, this is the next class. So let's not rush into this. So thank you and God bless you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel.